Hello, and welcome, my friends, to the next video in the Create Better Content series, where I show you how to tap into your creativity so that you can stay consistent with your marketing and reach more customers. My name is Penny, and I'm going to be your guide through this content development process. I'm going to teach you how to create engaging content to post, remarkable content for sales pages, amazing content for email sequences, all of those things that combine to make your marketing plan and to reach more customers. And if you want to learn more about creativity and how this can help you with your marketing plans, I would love to see you hit that button below and subscribe to this channel. And below in the description box, you're going to see several links. One of the links that you're going to see is for the Content Calendar Blueprint program. It's an email-based training guide. It shows you not just how to set up your content calendar, but it gives you steps how to develop your content ideas, how to develop your strategy. Even shows you the process that you could take when you're ready to launch a program or a service. Okay, and the next link you're going to see, or actually another one of the links you're going to see, is so that you can subscribe to the Marketing Strategy Collective program. It is my group program that we get together on Patreon, and we can work together to help you with any kind of content challenges that you need help with, to give you feedback, to help you answer questions. One of the best things that we do in our supportive group is that we meet every single month on a Zoom call, and you get the opportunity to see what happens with your marketing strategy when you can finally get some help. So you see the links below, and you know what to do to learn more. Okay, so today's video, we're going to be talking about storytelling, and I want to get real specific about this piece of the storytelling, and I want to talk about how to find your business's story. And this is a thing that I have this conversation with my clients before, but we are talking about this because most small business owners think that this is something that they don't have, they don't know that they need, and they don't even think they're a good writer, so I don't even know where to start, all of those kinds of things I get to hear. But I want you to stick with me through this whole process, because by the end of this video episode, you're going to walk away with a very clear understanding of how to find your story and how to use it to connect with your audience and to connect with your community in a way that actually leads to more sales. So let's jump into this today, because I get this. I've heard all of the excuses and the thoughts before. I don't have a story to tell. I don't know what makes me different. I'm just really not a good writer, so I just never did it. I get these answers, and I get why you are saying these types of things if you've been asked about your business story. And if you really feel this way, trust me, I get it, because you're not alone. I hear this a lot. So today I want you to go through the steps. I want you to start thinking about the business story that we can uncover. Something that my guess is already inside of you. Something that I'm going to take a really good guess about this and say that if you have ever been stuck following some generic template and it doesn't feel like you, because you're like, well, this isn't for me. This isn't something I'm supposed to do. I'm going to take a guess that you've probably gone through this kind of thing before, but you've never actually worked through this process in the way that we're going to do this today. Because I've been there, and I do know what it's like to follow all these formulas and fill in the blanks and to download my worksheet and to do everything quote unquote right. And it just still feels like, it's just not working. And I can't pull this together. And the only time I felt like I could only do this is if I had to work with a coach and all of this kind of stuff. And I get it, because here we are with so many other things that we're trying to market for our business. You're putting your time and your energy into this content, and you're saying, why is this one getting zero traction? Why is this one getting a couple of clicks? And you just keep wondering what you're doing wrong. And I get all that, because that is something that happened to me. And I know the exact moment when things started to change for me. And it had everything to do with finding my story and learning how to share it with my community. So today what I want to do is I'm pulling back the curtain. I want to share with you a personal story, a personal business story about how I went from struggling with like a whole bunch of cookie cutter marketing advice to actually building a group program for creative, um, like-minded business owners who want to start marketing in a way that feels more human, more connected, and not something that we're forced into some weird template thing. So let me first share my story about why I started the Marketing Strategy Collective program that we do on Patreon. Because I've always known that not all business owners, especially small businesses, fit into the same mold. We don't operate the same, we don't write content the same. So, what makes these other coaches think that if we just follow this template, the same template, if we fill in the blanks on the same fill in the blanks, that we're all just going to be able to come up with this story? And I know this firsthand because for the longest time, I did that. I did all of those things. I tried to make that one size fit all system work for me. I was that student. I was that participant in that group program. I showed up to all the calls. I joined in on the Facebook groups. I downloaded and filled out my workbooks. I swear to you, sometimes I would get them all done right before the call, like I was in school and I was waiting for a grade or something. And I invested so much time and so much money on trainings. I paid for premium 1-year mastermind program. And by the end of the mastermind program, I was in the same exact place that I was when I started it. Just less a whole lot of money. I made a lot of good connections, but it didn't do anything for my business. I bought the downloads that promised to unlock the secrets. I did all of that stuff. And you know what happened? Nothing. Nothing big. I would see a push here and there. I would get a spike, in some of my traffic. But it was never anything that was sustainable. I never really saw real growth. I didn't get any traction. And after year after year after year of this, I started asking myself the question. And it's a question that you might be asking yourself right now. Why can't I get this content stuff to work for me? What is going on? Why is it helping every other person that I'm seeing in my Facebook group who are talking about all the sales that they made and how many people showed up at their workshop? And I really started to doubt myself. I started to feel like, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe it was me, or maybe it was my business idea, or maybe it was just, there was just something that I'm just not doing right. And I just had so many doubts and so many questions. And quite honestly, after way too many long strategy sessions with myself, which might have led to a few breakdowns with maybe snacks involved, we're not going to talk too much about that. I think I finally hit a limit. And when I hit that wall, I knew that I had to do something different. Because I had to make a decision whether I could stay right where I was, doing the same thing over and over again, and finding myself in the same place year after year after year, or I could do something different. And that's when I created my own marketing productivity plan. And it was one that I didn't rely on downloads or checklists. It was built about creativity and how my brain works and how me as a business owner functions. And when I started working that way, when I started creating this process, the Create Your Business program that I'm always talking about in these videos, it's a whole process with brainstorming and planning and implementation. And it's all tailored to the way that your brain works. It's all customized to the way that you work. If you're a paper person, or if you're a digital person, or however it is that you work, it's all connected to that. And when I finally started to work the way that I work, the way that my brain works, that's when it all started to click for me. And here's the thing. I knew that I was not the only one who needed something different. I knew that there was no way that I was in these group programs, and every single one of us in that group program was experiencing the amazing, I posted up my sales page and I just made, thousands of dollars. I just signed up, hundreds of people on my workshops. There were more of us who were in the background, who weren't really commenting, who were watching the others, yelling and screaming from the top of their lungs, all of their amazing things that are happening to them. There was a lot more of us who needed something different, who needed a different way to work, because this template, these fill in the blank things weren't working for us. And that's when I created the Marketing Strategy Collective. I wanted to give other business owners, the ones that are just over it with the templates and over it with these same things for everybody, give them a space to finally build their marketing in a way that feels connected to them. And so when I looked at it from that place, and I took the actual steps that I was using for myself personally, and how much I was getting done, and how much I was putting myself out there and putting my business out there, and how much I was increasing my reach and increasing the number of customers and clients that I was getting, that's when I knew that there were other people who could benefit from this. And that's when I launched the Marketing Strategy Collective, which is the group program that I have, where we get together every single month on Patreon, as well as our Zoom monthly calls. So there you go. This is my story about how the Marketing Strategy Collective got started. There was a shift for me. There was a solution for me. So let's talk about this with regards to you and your story. I want to bring this back to you, because you're probably sitting there thinking, well, that's a great story. Good for you. But I don't have a story like that. I didn't go through anything like that. I didn't feel that. I didn't deal with that. It's your good story. But let me stop you right there, because you do have a story. Every one of us business owners has a story. And your story doesn't have to be dramatic or like some Hollywood movie where there's action and conflict and all of this kind of stuff. It just has to be real. And it just has to show us why you do the work that you do, why you believe in the values that you do, and what is that the services or the product that you do that your community counts on you for. What is it that you're doing that you're showing up for every day? So let me get into this, and I want to break this whole thing down. There is a step-by-step framework to help you find your story. Because for those of you who are not sure where to begin, let me give you some steps here to go through to help you uncover your own story. The first thing I want you to do is look at your origin. Look at how you got started. And not how you got started, but why you got started. Because when I was telling my story about how I was struggling, and year after year finding myself in the same exact place, doing the same exact thing, and knowing that if I just continued on the same path, I was going to continue on being in the same exact place. So why did you start your business? What was the problem you were trying to solve? Was it for yourself, or was it for others? Because the answer to that question is going to be the root, is going to be the foundation, your origin of your whole story. So when you think about those, when you've got your answers to the problems you were solving and why you started your business, I want you to think about the transformation. Remember how I shared with you when I started to realize that I could work differently, and that I could work in a way that was more customized to me, that was worked in a way, the way my brain works, the way that I work, part digital, part paper. And when I could finally move into a process and a system the way that I worked and understanding how I worked, that is when I started to see momentum. That is when I started to increase the number of people that I was reaching, the number of people that were signing up for programs. That was that moment. That was the transformation. So I want you to think about that now with yourself and your business. What have you, or maybe even your clients, experienced because of the work that you do? What has changed because your business exists to create a new product for somebody to help them do something easier, quicker, more efficient? Because remember, people don't buy your products of what you're selling or your services. They're buying the transformation that's going to get them from one thing to the next. So when you think about your next step, I want you to think about that. What is the transformation, whether it happened to you or your clients? And the third step is when you take those two things together, that's when you start to uncover like the core message of your story. What is the belief that sits at the heart of your business? When I think about my business, I think about how I'm not a cookie cutter. Everybody is customized. Everything that happens between you and I is specific to what happens to your business. It's not about me doing this for hundreds of people and you got to figure out a way to make your stuff work. So, what belief is actually the heart of your business? If you think about, why you started it and the transformation, what is it that your community, your customers believe is possible after they work with you, after they connect with you? Because your story is going to become powerful when it connects to a shared belief or value. So when we think about what this core message of our story is, it's going to be something that's going to resonate with people. It's not just, this is how I think, everybody else needs to feel what I feel. No, we want to think about it from that place of how we're going to connect our story to others and how others can see themselves in our stories. And the next step is step 4 in finding those moments. Our stories are made up of just small real life moments. The client that had the breakthrough, the day you had a tough decision, that time when, as I said, when I realized I was banging my head against the wall and I had this awareness that if I don't do something different, I'm still going to be here in this place. That was a breakthrough for me. That was a moment when something in my head just clicked. And over all these years, I'm not sure why it took me to this place, but I finally got there and I found my moment. So I want you to think about these micro stories, these little moments, these real life moments. This is the piece that's going to be just absolute gold for your story. It's going to be that's going to be the thing that's going to really connect and resonate with somebody when they read your content, when they see your story, when they hear you talking on a video, however you're sharing the story, and when they see this and when they find those moments within your story that they're going to connect to, it begins to build trust with them. It begins for them to see you as somebody who understands them, who is actually saying, I see you, I hear you because I was you. And this is how I got out, and this is how I'm going to help you get out. Which leads me now into my 5th step and how we can wrap it all up, and we want it to be relevant to them. It's not about being dramatic. It's not being, oh, woe is me, this is so horrible and so terrible, and I'm so glad you're here with me on this journey. It's not about that. It's about showing that your story relates to what the ideal client is going through now. So your final piece of this is that you're going to take all of those things together. You're going to talk about how you got started. You're going to talk about the transformation. You're going to remember those moments when it clicked, those moments when people had a breakthrough, and you put it all together into that story. But you're doing this from the perception, from the perspective, that's the word I'm looking for, from the perspective of the customer and how it's going to help them. Boy, I'm struggling with that sentence. Let me try that again. You want your story to be relatable to your ideal client because you want them to be able to see themselves in it. You want it to be relevant to them. You want them to be able to say, I see myself. I hear this about what she went through, and now I can see how this can help me in my business, help me get to where I want to go. And so if you're thinking about this and you're nodding your head and you're like, okay, I think I might have a great story, let me help you take it further. Because inside the Marketing Strategy Collective this month, we are spending the whole month diving into storytelling. I'm talking about how to find your story, how to boost your sales with storytelling, and how to create content that actually feels more like you. So I want you to think about that if you need some help, because we can be here for you to get some specific steps and helping you work through your storytelling. But really what I wanted to say and wrap this whole video up is to see if you were listening to me and this video episode gave you some aha moments. This video episode got you thinking that you really do have a story, that there are moments, those micro moments, those real life moments that you can start to share, that you can pull people in and create that story that's going to resonate with people so that you can start building trust, you can start building your community, and you can start getting them to take action. So I'd love to know more. That if you've got some aha moments, drop a comment below and tell me what part of your brand story you've been sitting on or you're unsure how to share. I'd love to hear more about what this video might have stirred up for you. And don't forget to subscribe, because we are just getting started with the storytelling, and we are just getting started helping you build your community so that you can make more sales. So thank you so much for joining me today on this creative journey. If you've enjoyed this content about content development, I hope you'll hit the share button, and let's keep this conversation going. And as I said before, I'd love to see you join us in the Marketing Strategy Collective program. We're here for you to give you personalized feedback on any of your content marketing efforts, sales pages, launch email sequences, or even your storytelling content ideas. You'll be able to stop working in a solo bubble, and you can finally work in a collaborative space to help you with any of your marketing challenges. You see the link below, and you know what to do to learn more, to see real growth in your business. You are magnificent, my friend, and let me be the first to say, I'm proud of you. Until next time.